Also, I'm a Leo, so if you're ever concerned about giving me a compliment, don't be. I'll take them all. Hey y'all, welcome to Cloveroom, and congrats to me. I need all the wins I can get lately. This channel, this YouTube project, hit 1,000 subscribers. It's really exciting in these trying times that at least one thing's kind of going well in my life. To celebrate, I wanted to do 1,000 subscriber Q&A. I feel like I haven't been pitching what my channel is lately, so I should probably do that. Although I feel like if you're watching this, you're probably already subscribed. But if you are new here, welcome. My name is Cam. I'm a non-binary trans femme creator. I love to talk about conscious consumerism. I love to talk about the beauty space. I love to talk about the internet. I love to talk about culture. And I like to do it all through a very trans non-binary lens. And I like to center the experience of trans folks on my channel as well. So if you are interested, you can definitely join the 1,000 plus. I think we're almost at 1,100 when I'm recording this, which is really, really cool. Thank you for all the love on all three of my recent videos. Especially thank you for all the love on the last one, the how to fight overconsumption in trying times video. I honestly almost didn't even post that one. I didn't think it was very good when I made it. Honestly, I thought it was kind of a miss. My first two videos back had done so well in the context of my channel and my personal analytics and such. I was really honestly touched and surprised by how positive the feedback was, and I think it sounded like people really needed that video in that moment. So I asked y'all earlier today to ask me questions on my YouTube community tab and on my Instagram at @clove_room. So we're just gonna jump right into the questions. So happy to see you back. Thanks. My question is about hair care if you're open to it. Sure. How do you care for your curls, and what would you say your hair type is? I don't know what my hair type is. I know there's different curl types. I've never really dug into that. I'm very low maintenance with my hair, as low maintenance as I can be. My entire life I've been told, especially when I was a kid and, my parents would take me to places like Great Clips, and I was told, that I had problem hair, which is actually kind of deeply affected me. I wasn't going to a consistent stylist somewhere in my tween teen years. It would just be whoever is working at the chain haircut place my dad would take me to. I would have to basically give a trigger warning. I'd have to be hey, just so you know, my hair is super, super thick and super, super curly. And they'd be okay. And then they'd touch it and be oh my God, yeah. And it was almost always disgust. I think sometimes it was just curiosity. They worked in hair and I had somewhat unusual hair perhaps. I think it's thinned out a little as I've gotten older, but I have very, very thick, very, very curly hair. I did not scrunch these curls in the back at all. I actually brushed through them and just used a styling cream today. My hair's default is it wants to be curly, and there's definitely ways I can make my curls look better. I don't think I have any revolutionary tips. Again, I'm very low maintenance. My biggest tips, if you think you have similar hair type to me, is moisture, 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 and no heat. My hair hates being heat styled. Very sensitive to it looking frizzy or dry, and it's really want to do that. I remember when I was trying to get more into my hair and wearing it longer and such, I was well, I'm gonna have to get a dry shampoo. No. My hair is very my hair does not need dry shampoo. My hair, again, needs moisture. It's very, very dry. So actually every morning if I don't shower, I have a spray bottle that's dedicated to just it. I just fill it with water and I just drench my hair in the morning. If I've already done a curl routine, so if I've washed my hair and then put a bunch of leave-in conditioner in it and then scrunched a bunch of curl gel in it, a lot of times the water or just a kind of reinforcing spray is enough. I really like the Kristen S one in the orange bottle. It's a curl sort of spray. That one's amazing. How do you feel about the Tortured Poets department? I want to know all your thoughts. I actually love the Tortured Poets department. I would say it's up there as one of my favorite Taylor Swift albums, which I know is kind of a hot take. I love Taylor Swift's music. Her as a person, there's been multiple times throughout her career where I've just kind of cooled off on her, but then ultimately at the end of the day I do love her work, her actual music, even when I maybe have not been in love with choices she's made. I went to the Eras tour, had a great time. Her association with certain people and certain just American iconography right now is kind of uncomfortable for me. She's released so much music in the last few years and has had so much exposure and just like media time that when she announced she was releasing a whole other original album, I was like, yeah, I think I gotta hop off the train. And then the album came out and I was like, damn it, girl, you got me again. I think the anthology is kind of like, it definitely is giving like B-sides and not in the most flattering way. The main album though is pretty great. I could have done without I Can Fix Them, No Really I Can. By that song, she's just like reiterating the same themes like for the 10th time, and that song is not my favorite. I could have done without Touchdown, like the song with all the football metaphors, The Alchemy. I think that song is so bad. So bad. Like one of her worst songs of all time. And then actually this is a very hot take that people will not agree with. I really do not like So Long London. Something about that song does not work for me. I think Guilty as Sin is one of her best songs of all time. It is so clever and like cutting. I love Down Bad, because I just think it's like very funny, and for Taylor Swift's catalog specifically, I don't think in the context of other artists' catalog I would give it this description, but in her catalog it's kind of her funniest, most wacky song, using like the metaphor of the aliens and waking up in blood, and like it's her at her funniest. I don't think she's very funny. If I was ever gonna laugh at one of her jokes, it would be Down Bad, and also the song I just feel like has very like catchy beat and going to the gym. Congrats, thank you. What would you say is your short list of favorite brands and anything from them specific you love? Short list of my favorite brands off the top of my head. Glossier for sure. Honestly, their deodorant. I love Ilia. From them, honestly, a lot. I love their complexion stick, the stick blushes, their like milky toner moisturizer thing. Who else? Phytosurgence is definitely up there. I love their blushes. Lunar Lightwave. I think later I'm asked about eyeshadows, so I'll actually say my Lunar Lightwave love. But their blushes are amazing. Their eyeshadows are amazing. Oh, and their skincare. The skincare is amazing. And I think it's like super well priced, queer-owned, small brand. Lovely. Anyone else? Oh, Viseart for eyeshadow. I would definitely say Viseart has my favorite eyeshadows. Both the mattes and honestly the metallic glittery shades. I think Live Tinted could be up there if I try more from them. The two products I've tried so far, the SPF and Clear Brow Gel, both were amazing, especially the SPF. The SPF is like phenomenal. So I think if I tried more from Live Tinted, they could possibly go up. Oh, and e.l.f. I have a lot of favorites from e.l.f. now. I'd say those are my short list and kind of the highlights from each one for me. My question for you, what are your top 3 books? I am not a huge reader. I go in waves with reading. Some months I'll have read quite a few books, but honestly like within the last like year I haven't really read much, unfortunately. My favorite book of all time is undoubtedly The Prettiest Star by Carter Sickles. I have talked about this book on my channel before, I think, in another Q&A, but I will gladly talk about it again. It is based in Appalachian, Ohio, and it's basically about this young man who is from a small Appalachian town in Ohio, who moved to New York to kind of go be gay and be who he was, and he contracts HIV and he basically returns home to die. And it is so depressing. Like it is a very it's I don't even want to say depressing, because like what it does so beautifully is it doesn't make the town and their hatred, honestly, of him cartoonish. It's just unflinching, I think is the word I would say. It's a very brutally honest, it's a brutal book, because it doesn't try to sweeten or hallmark the story, but it also doesn't, again, cartoonize and diminish the humanity of the characters in the book. It's just a book I think about all the time. But again, like, if you want like a pleasure read, it is not that, but it is like a gorgeous book. Norwegian Wood by sometimes I have trouble saying words that start with M. Fun fact about me. Murakami. That book is a great coming of age story. It's also just interesting if you don't know a lot about Japanese culture, which I did not going in. It's just like an interesting snapshot of Japanese culture. Even though it's written in Japanese and translated to English, it's like gorgeously written. I think a critique I could see is it maybe gets a little manic pixie dream girl Honestly, one of my like problematic traits is that like a lot of my favorite media, and you know, this is also to do with the time I was a teenager in, the manic pixie dream girl trope hates to see me coming because also, my last book I'll probably say, Looking for Alaska by John Green. That one is very symbolic of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope. I read it for the first time now. I don't think it would be my favorite book, but I remember when I read that book freshman year of high school, changed my life. For real, for real. Kind of the biting sarcasm in it. I just like kind of like saw a side of my personality that I'd never seen like really represented in media before, and just kind of the nihilism of the book too, and the kind of quiet teen angst. I'd like seen and watched things that explore teen angst before, but never like the quiet sarcastic kids who never breaks rules perspective, which is kind of me. Those are the three that come to the top of my head. What are your first makeup memories? My first makeup memories are honestly ordering from ColourPop. I have a lot of nostalgia for ColourPop, and I've thought about giving them another go because I stopped buying from ColourPop because they decided to do collaboration with Harry Potter, the intellectual property of Harry Potter, which benefits a very famous and disgusting transphobe. They should have known better. And also, for a while, I'd been quite annoyed with the pace of their releases and just kind of how uncaring their brand had become. I think in the Hogwarts Harry Potter collections case, like uncaring toward their customers, but also they just seemed uncaring toward their product and what they were even selling. I remember ColourPop at first felt like accessible, fun, inspired makeup. And by the time I stopped buying from them, it felt like the wraparound of Forever 21. I think as a certain brand and tier of YouTube beauty influencer has died out, their brand has really lost their footing and they seem to be confused about who they are now, I would say. In my early makeup days, I was really doing makeup just when I went out to like gay bars or more queer events, and it was more like, oh, I'm a boy, like just wants to show how much of a fag I am by wearing makeup. Now I do it to like look pretty and be like femme, and not that I don't ever do fun queer makeup too, but it just means something much different to me than it meant back then. And I wasn't even doing drag, it was just like, I want to put on a really loud lipstick before and a highlight. Like I would literally just do liquid lipstick, giant metallic streak of highlight, go to the gay bar. And I was like, I'm a and everyone's like, yeah, you are. If you had to pick one fave eyeshadow shade from your collection, which would it be? So I hinted at this earlier, but Phytosurgence Lunar Lightwave, it's hard to swatch. The magic is kind of just like tapping it over either like a bare lid or any look. This is like an inner corner highlight. A brow bone highlight is gorgeous. This like tapped all over the lid is gorgeous. This is like an accent on an already sparkly eyeshadow is gorgeous. It's just like the perfect eyeshadow, and I really like a lot of Phytosurgence's eyeshadows, but this one is like by far my favorite. And when I was asked this question, I think I got asked it a couple of times or there was a similar one, it was like the first thing that came to mind. The other contender though, I think would kind of be a similar shade from Pat McGrath, her Midnight Sun palette, which actually is what I'm wearing on my eyes today, and I'm wearing a little bit of this shade on my eyes. But this like topper shade, and I only picked up like a very small amount. It's a lot more intense, I would say, than Lunar Lightwave, although you can tap it out and get like a similar effect. They're not dissimilar. The Pat McGrath one's on the bottom and it's a little bit brighter, more like pure white, but not silver. But this tapped over any eye look is also gorgeous. The Pat McGrath one reads more makeup-y and it's more like glam, I would say is maybe the word I'm looking for. And the Phytosurgence one can be glam, but it also just looks so effortless while still being impactful, which is such a hard line to walk in makeup. No question, you're just beautiful and I hope you're taking care of yourself. Thank you. I actually am. I am. And it's working. Yeah. Thanks. Also, I'm a Leo, so if you're ever concerned about giving me a compliment, don't be. I'll take them all. My friend Mackenzie, I'm not naming anyone, I said this would be anonymous, but unless you're my close personal friend like Mackenzie is, she asked me my favorite routine at Paris 24, only one. She's talking about gymnastics because she is my buddy. We're both really into women's artistic gymnastics. We actually went to Olympic trials in Minneapolis this summer to watch the team be selected and compete to be selected, which was actually kind of a harrowing, like very cool experience, but a lot of injuries ended up happening that were kind of devastating to watch. But I did get to see Simone Biles compete gymnastics in person, which is such a bucket list item for me. The first one that came to my mind was Suni's floor routine in the all-around final. You probably have heard of Suni Lee. She won the all-around individual title in the Tokyo Olympics. She won the bronze this go-around. I just love Suni because, one, her gymnastics is beautiful. Her artistry is gorgeous. She has this really special gift of never being out of anything. And this go-around, she dealt with very intense kidney disease that really delayed and prohibited her from training as much as she probably would have wanted to for the Olympics. And there's this moment in her floor routine that I cried. Which I've been crying a lot, so this could make me cry right now because I'm very emotional. Does this first pass, she nails it. She doesn't hop or skip, she sticks it. It is very rare in elite gymnastics at the Olympic level to see emotion. It's becoming less rare, but it is very much known for straight laces, you go out there and do your job. She sticks her first pass and just her face lights up because she knows she's about to do it. She knows that everyone said this probably wasn't going to happen this time. You're probably not going to be able to get on the team. And even if you are on the team, all around may not happen for you. And she nails this first pass and she's like, I'm going to do it. One of my favorite Olympic moments of all time. Who are your 3 people, alive or past, that you would invite to dinner? Okay, this is the list that came to my mind, and I will not be explaining it actually. Amy Winehouse, my granny, Janet Mock. Yeah. If all your makeup disappeared, what's the first 5 things you would buy? I would hate that. I've thought about doing this this video before where my makeup collection is taken in the middle of the night and then I have to piece it back together and what would I buy first and what would I not, and even thinking about it really stresses me out. Okay, I'm gonna be so honest, my camera died, so I had a good amount of time to think about this. And I came up with this little capsule collection. I would buy a Kosas Revealer Concealer, probably in a shade in between the 2 I have. Right now I have 2.3 neutral and 1.0 neutral. I'd probably buy one in between, but leaning more toward the brighter side. I'd buy that. I would buy the Ilia multi-stick in Ladybird. This is the Makeup by Mario liner in Perfect Brown. I don't know if I would necessarily buy this one, but I would buy some version of a pencil gel brown eyeliner. Saie mascara in brown, and then I kind of tried to swatch it, but the e.l.f. brow laminating gel would be my 5th purchase. So I'd probably miss powder, but honestly it'd be fine. I would just kind of embrace the cream blush, clean girl life. This is actually kind of a cute little color story. Favorite coffee order? Right now I am really in my mocha era, so I've been really loving any sort of non-dairy mocha drink, whether hot or ice, kind of whatever the temperature is feeling outside. And if the place has peppermint, I will definitely make it a peppermint mocha because I love a peppermint mocha. So I'm kind of in my sweet coffee phase. Continuity note. I had to go eat dinner because I was starving and running out of steam. I have a different lip and a different shirt on. Is the beauty industry getting more or less inclusive in your opinion? I thought about this one while I was making and having dinner when I wasn't watching the season finale of Only Murders in the Building. I think the answer is probably both. I think in some ways is more inclusive and brands are paying more attention to that. I think in other ways it's probably not. But there were 2 kind of specific points I think there's probably a lot of points worth talking about in this topic, but 2 points that I thought of that were worth discussing. I mean, before I do that, I think it's important to note my perspective. I'm a white trans person in this space, a white trans non-binary girl. That both limits and informs my perspective and my lived experience as a consumer and now a creator in the beauty industry. First thing I want to talk about is I think in regards to trans and to a greater extent queer inclusivity with brands, I think it's definitely gotten worse. And I think that's just correlated with how in, second Obama era, gay marriage, LGBTQ plus rights were really just on an on-ramp and up, on the up and up. And there was a greater visibility, a greater acceptance, a lot of changes and a lot of progress happened during that time. And it felt like it was going one way, right? There wasn't, and I'm not saying everything was perfect at all, but the general vibe was every year is better than the last. I don't think I should probably have to tell you that's not the vibe right now. And I think over the last couple years, and maybe this is naive of me and probably a little privileged, but I thought for the rest of my life it would be this. And it's so clearly not that right now. And I think the beauty industry is just reflecting that. Inclusion, it was so clearly like a big section in a lot of brands' year-end annual reports for the last few years. And it felt like a no-brainer that a brand could, one, both shore up its existing customers who care or want to see inclusion, and I'm talking about in the queer sense, so having a pride post, having a pride special release, being vocal about what organizations you're donating to that give to queer and trans causes. That was just like, well, our normal customers want to see that from us, and also there's a potential for new customers seeing that. So it really felt like a win-win. The last few years with the backlash we've seen, I think specifically to trans people gaining visibility, it's been clear that a lot of brands were just participating in that because it was a win-win. And as soon as it became a little bit more politically volatile, especially on the internet, it's such a cesspool for trans creators right now. It's a lot more notable now, especially on days like Trans Day of Visibility or Coming Out Day. So much fewer brands, it feels like, make content and want to highlight that as part of their work. I also think, and this is zooming out, and it's all types of inclusivity, whether it is inclusive toward customers of color, folks with disability, queer, trans, just, you know, marginalized groups. I think where a lot of the industry, especially larger brands, have fallen short. To succeed in this space, you want to bake this into your brand's DNA, and you want it to be a central tenet of when you launch a product. You want to think about inclusivity from all angles. You want to make sure you have a shade that's going to work for everyone. You want to make sure when you do a campaign, you want trans models or gender diversity in your models. You want to make sure that your packaging is accessible for everyone, while also hopefully employing people from all of those groups and having different perspectives at the table when you're building your brand and building your product. I feel like a lot of brands have instead not taken the proactive perspective or the proactive approach to inclusivity. I feel like a lot of brands instead, especially again, like I said, larger brands, react. Reacting might even be generous. I think it's, what do we have to do to not get in trouble? That seems to be what a lot of brands try to do. And I think we've seen that with shade ranges. And like, this is not like I'm not breaking news on this. I think there's a lot of amazing creators like Gloria, and I remember Jackie Aina really focused a lot on this, where they may, like, brands may even be like, okay, we'll just have like one shade that's really, really dark. And then everyone who sees the release, like, all of our customers will be comfortable knowing that everyone has a shade. Even though upon further investigation, a lot of deep folks who want to buy makeup are left out of shade ranges. A lot of medium deep folks who want to buy products are left out of shade ranges. And it feels like brands, again, instead of from the get-go being like, what can we do to make sure everyone has a chance at enjoying this product? Instead say, what is the bare minimum we have to do and we have to spend so that we don't have a YSL blush launch? And it's not shocking, because I think the perspective of most businesses, especially major corporations and major conglomerates, own most brands that are more mainstream. They're profit-making entities, and they will always prioritize being profit-making entities. They just see it as an economics equation, whereas a lot of us, I think, rightfully see it as our lives and as our dignity and our identity. And I think rightfully believe that as customers who are giving their hard-earned money to these brands for a product, that we deserve to be a part of that product. Those are the kind of 2 points I want to make. I don't think it's as simple as if it's gotten more or less inclusive. I think it's complicated. I think dissent's important. I see a lot of people complain online when Gloria or any Black creator, let's be honest, makes a video calling out a brand for a bad shade range. And there's a lot of comments that are like, well, there's plenty out there for you, or why are you even worried about this? Why do you have to be so negative? Someone can wear all those shades. Like, there's really fair people. First of all, like, I will never understand people going to bat for brands as if they're like friends on Facebook. Like, you are not friends with CoverGirl. You are not friends with YSL, because you can't be. Companies have no humanity. The people who run companies have their own humanities because they are people, but when we criticize CoverGirl, YSL, I'm just coming up with random companies, but when we criticize, I mean, Glossier, Ilia, the ones I said I liked, when we criticize those companies, we're not saying, hey, assistant director of HR, you suck. We're talking about the work and we're talking about what they're releasing. And I don't think you get any progress without dissent. Yes, in some ways, shade ranges have gotten a lot better and there's more options for everyone. That doesn't mean we should all just be like, okay, great, we did it. Some of these launches will now work for most people. I think we should be comfortable with dissent, and I think we should honestly welcome it, especially from Black creators, from trans creators. That's an important part of the beauty community. That's just as an important part of the beauty community as Michaela or as any big influencer that mostly does positive reviews. That's just as important. And it's not negativity, it's critique. And critique, I gotta stop talking about this because critique is such a lost art form, I think, across many industries. And I think it's gotten lumped under online hate when I think critique of work, whether that's music or makeup or business or politics, it's so important. Anyway, I think we've lost the ability as a society to effectively engage with good faith critiques. And I think that's also because good faith critiques are less and less, I suppose, or at least get highlighted less and less. I have to move on, but that's my answer to that question. What's your biggest goal as a creator? Something more ambiguous than a specific number. This is a really good question. I think right now, my biggest goal is for people to learn about themselves by watching me. I mean, I've learned a lot from watching beauty YouTube over the years. I've learned how to blend eyeshadow from Sam Ravindal. Those are like practical skills. I've like learned how to do blush. I've learned techniques around makeup. I feel like I learned a lot about complexion makeup from like a Jackie Aina who focused a lot on kind of combining makeup artistry with home use, I suppose, or with doing your own makeup at home. I don't know why I said home use. That was an odd way of putting that. I feel like the best content has taught me things about myself. And a couple of examples came to mind. When I was really struggling with my gender identity, I watched a lot of beauty YouTube, and one of my favorite creators still, but especially back then, was Hannah Louise Poston. I love when Hannah waxes poetic. Literally and figuratively. She was discussing how she related to aesthetics and clothes. She very genuinely came to the conclusion about why and how feminine gender expression was important for her. And she talked about it in such a way that it wasn't like, I am a cis woman, so I want to do like stereotypical cis woman things. I remember because it had a really big impact on me, I remember she talked about it just as the divine feminine gender aesthetic, makeup and getting dolled up and jewelry and beautiful rich clothes and just expressing yourself and finding power through the feminine. That sort of gender expression was so important to her, and she used that then, I think, to talk about how that made her comfortable, buying or wanting to thoughtfully collect, nice objects, nice things, nice aesthetic makeup and nice aesthetic clothes. That made me understand my gender identity more, even though Hannah is cis and I'm a trans non-binary woman. I remember thinking, oh my God, that's me. I love and value and treasure and find so much strength in feminine gender expression. And it doesn't have to mean I have to be part of a binary. It doesn't mean that I have to get there in a straight line from A to B, but that is crucial to my DNA. And I think too, I've learned a lot from Tom's content, and also just like Tom being themselves. I don't know if they know this, and I could text and ask because I text Tom every day, but because they're one of my best friends. I'm talking about Home as Tom, for those who don't know. I'm talking about Home as Tom. I feel like I can do this because of them. When I see them go on trips like creators and friends, and I see them succeed in this space by not making any compromises on not just their morals, but who they are as a person, who they are as a non-binary person. When they do that and their channel grows and they get opportunities to work with brands, there's like a path for me now that I don't think there necessarily was before. And I'm not saying Tom's like the first non-binary YouTuber or anything like that, but in kind of the sort of beauty content area I'm in, and when I've seen Tom build their channel and find this success, it makes me realize what is possible on the platform and what is possible to do with my channel. To get back to the question, what I want to do with this channel, I just want it to be like a proof of concept of trans joy, I think. I know that's cheesy, but I'm very cheesy and emotional right now. That's kind of the ultimate theoretical goal for my channel, I think, to be a living proof of concept of trans joy. Hopefully somebody who eventually has been watching me for a while will discover something about themselves, or I will have made something easier for somebody down the road. What's your favorite color to wear? Lavender. Both in makeup and clothes. I love a lavender. Or like a dusty rosewood. Favorite dessert? I love an ice cream. I love an ice cream. This is the second video I mentioned this, but I need to stop blowing up my spot. But it's popular anyway. Big Softy in Atlanta. Some of the best soft serve ever. I'm usually more traditional ice cream person. If I'm going off my favorite ice cream of all time, that's still Grater's, which is an Ohio brand. But they have some in Kentucky where I grew up, and their black raspberry chip is my favorite ice cream of all time, and I will always want that. Which I can get pints of Grater's at the store, but like, ooh, a Grater's like hot fudge sundae with like that whipped cream. Big Softy, I get vanilla chocolate twist with like their sprinkles, and I know it sounds, oh, and a waffle cone. I know it sounds simple. Something about their sprinkles and their ice cream, like just always hits. What brand / packaging / aesthetic always sucks you in? I mean, I usually really love Glossier's aesthetic. And I guess like to zoom out from that, millennial pink lavender type aesthetics always. I'm a 30-year-old millennial. Like they always get me. So like anything Glossier-esque that's done well. It's not like, you know, just like a cheap ripoff. Tower 28 is a brand that I always love their packaging and I love their branding. I have never liked the products inside though, which is why I've mostly stopped buying from them. What song have you had on repeat lately? So I'm going to mention two by two different artists. And they're both connected. They're both underappreciated solo projects from singers who front very successful bands. So one of them is Katie Gavin. She released an album recently that I forgot the name of. I'm sorry, it's late. But it's quite good. It's very different than Muna. Katie Gavin is the lead singer of the queer pop band Muna. She released an album and it's much more indie folk, even like bluegrass at times. And it's just as sad because Muna's music is very, very sad. So it's all very, very sad. Her voice on her solo stuff reminds me a lot of the lead singer of the Weepies, which is an indie duo I really loved back in like high school, college. Another thing about me, to add to my millennialness, is if anything sounds like it could have been played ad nauseum in a Starbucks coffee shop in like 2011, I love Nora Jones, the Weepies, anything like in that realm, Gregory Allen Isakov, give it to me in an IV. I love it. And the song from that I cannot stop listening to, although I'm like an album girl, so that album I'm listening to a lot. But Casual Drug Use is a bop. And I feel like it has the most Muna in it. The one I could see being a Muna song the most. So maybe that's a good transition song if you like are a Muna person but you're not sure if this sounds like a project you might like. I would give that song a listen because it's a good transitional song for the album. Other solo project that I think is going unappreciated by the masses. My favorite band, Churches. Their lead singer is doing a solo album, Lauren Mayberry. I love her. Like if I was ever asked to like mood board my aesthetic, it'd be a lot of pictures of her. Because I really adore how, like, she usually does her own makeup for shows, I believe. And she has, like, a very signature, like, eye shape. I should, like, recreate her makeup. Maybe for Clovemas. Maybe. She's released, like, 4 or 5 songs from it so far. And they are just so good. I don't think they're as far away from Churches as Katie's solo stuff is from Muna. And speaking of me identifying with cis women talking about femininity, I mean, most of the music I listen to is by women. And that is by choice and also just like what my ear likes. And that's great, but I don't hear my feelings on being a woman or a femme person reflected in a lot of that music that's made by cis women. But Lauren's like experiences and critiques and tellings of her experiences with gender get me, really empathize and understand them and feel really heard when I listen to her music. The one I identify with the most is called Change Shapes. Girl, it is so good. And it's all about the bending and flexibility and yoga poses you have to do as a woman or a femme person to get your way or to be seen or to be loved, and how men never really have to do that, and kind of the absurdity of that. Top 3 social media platforms / websites you've used over your entire life. Okay, Webkinz is up there. Webkinz for sure. YouTube. That's, you know, why we're all gathered here today. Webkinz, YouTube. You know, Instagram. But, like, not Instagram of today. Instagram of 2014. Lawless place. Very much, I don't think it was good for my mental health because I was so obsessed with how many likes my not very good artsy pictures of my college campus got. And they never got that many. But I had fun. Favorite preparation of potatoes. Not sweet potatoes or yams. I mean, a french fry, a classic french fry. I don't think we have to make it too complex. And I like them to, I mean, I'll eat any french fry, and I appreciate diversity in french fry. Actually, when I say a french fry preparation is my favorite, that doesn't mean I want all other fries to die. I still want a crinkle cut. I'll even fuck with a steak fry or a wedge thing. Curly fry, sure. I think just like a classic McDonald's or like Steak and Shake type fry. Oh, actually, that's a lie. The best fries, Charleston, South Carolina, tattooed moose, duck fat fries. Those are fries at their climax, at the best fries will ever be. That style of like kind of truffly, rich aioli sauce with like fatty fries. Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite preparation. Now I want to go to the tattooed moose. I miss that place. If you got to design your own makeup product, what would it be? What type of product and what shades? Okay, so 2 things I think I would want to do. 1, I would want to do my own eyeshadow palette. Not because the world needs another eyeshadow palette, and not that I believe that I could create a very like unique or special eyeshadow palette, but I just remember like when I started watching beauty YouTube, it felt like that was the goal. Like everyone wanted their own palette with like whatever their favorite brand was. I feel like it's the classic influencer collab, and it's like a metric of success. Whether it's a good one or not, I'm not sure. And then, okay, the other thing that came to mind, if I was really getting in the lab, I would really love to do a complexion line that is made for trans women or trans femmes or non-binary people who are trying to focus on beard coverage, because honestly that's my number one thing I'm technically trying to cover. I also like looking glowy and having my skin look soft and blurred. When it comes to like complexion concerns, by far my largest is covering like stubble. I've learned, you know, through like color corrector how to do that and different techniques that work. Again, what I was saying at the beginning, inclusion I feel like means being a part of the product design process before the product is designed, you know what I mean? And I often think like trans women's or trans femmes concerns are not part of that process. So we just kind of work with makeup that is meant for cis women a lot of the time. I think actually from the get-go and before even creating a product, being like, I want this to be a product that trans people can use to effectively cover stubble and feel more confident. If I was actually like, you know, starting a brand, which I don't really have, like I have no interest in doing that. That sounds terrible. And I think the market is so oversaturated at this point. I don't think it's oversaturated with that though. So someone else can do that and that'd be great. I actually tried a brand a few years ago called Jekka Black, and they were kind of that. I didn't like love the products, and I think they could also expand their shade ranges. One discontinued product that you will mourn forever. Okay, not makeup, but the original Glossier You. And its original staying power and with the original like scent. Thank you all so much for watching. I am so tired and I feel like I look much worse than I did at the beginning of this video, but that's just because I ate food and it's a lot later now. But thank you all so much for watching. Thanks for 1,000 subscribers. It's so cool to see the channel grow, and I'm like so excited to do this right now and to pour my energy into making like serious videos and funny videos that are serious and serious videos that are funny, and just kind of do it all. So give this video a like if you did enjoy it. It helps me a lot in the wild west of the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you want to see my future uploads. I mean, if you got this far, you should really subscribe because you've just watched me talk about things that I'm not sure anybody cares about for like an hour. Yeah, thanks y'all. Bye. God, I'm tired.